One of my favourite theories is that it's about the airplane crash survivors in the Andes eating each other.
Yes.
Um,
Alive.
but anyway, yes, exactly.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy. The man in stripes is John, and we are here to dig into some music. Today's episode will be brought to you by one of John's selections. So, John, please tell me, what am I in store for, buddy?
So we're going back to one band that we regularly visit, that being Nick Cave and the Bad
All
Seeds.
right. Excellent. I enjoy them. The track?
The track is 15 Feet of Pure White Snow.
That's a lot of cocaine, man. That is a lot. Wow, 15 feet of pure white snow. I haven't seen that around here since like the blizzard of 96 or maybe the 2000s, somewhere in there, but we haven't had a blizzard in a while. Certainly not coming out to 15 feet. Uh, Interesting, evocative name, as I've just, gone through the thoughts that came rushing in between cocaine and, blizzards of my youth. As I come to expect with Mr. Cave, all of his songs and a lot of his titles are very evocative. So one of the reasons I've actually gravitated towards his music on top of it just sounding great. So let me go off, plow through some of this and come back and let you know what I think.
And that's when it all went to shit. Hi, John here. So, Andy did go off and react to the wonderful video of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds performing and prancing about in the former building of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Kazakhstan with the various stylings of Jarvis Cocker, Jason Donovan, and Noah Taylor. And I edited it all together after a lovely discussion, and it was promptly blocked by Eagle Core. So, Andy very kindly has reacted to a different video, which is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds performing live on Later with Jules Ireland, and it's a wonderful video. It is, but of course we won't mention any of that at all in the subsequent conversation. I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the episode. Please enjoy.
Where is Mona?
Mona. Oh, that's nice.
Where is Mary? She's taking her along.
Mary and Mona.
But they haven't put their mittens on, and there's 15 feet of pure white snow.
Oh, first of all, before this lovely piano just came in, there were these little bits of texture going on. I think I caught a little bit of clipped guitar. Sounded lovely. As oftentimes is the case when you press play on a Cave song and the narrative is starting to unfold, you're not exactly sure who is who and what is what exactly, but he will start to give you enough information to kind of build your own story off the bones that he provides. So there's already kind of intrigue about this Mary and Mona and this, 15 feet of pure white snow. And then as he says snow, obviously that piano I just talked about kicks in, and those notes fall like snowflakes. And you can't help but his words, that sound, it all kind of opens up your mind's eye, and you start to picture images and things sort of unfolding as close to before your eyes as it can get.
Where is Michael? Where is Mark?
Michael and Mark.
Where is Matthew now it's getting dark. Oh, where is John? They're all out back on the 50 feet of blue white snow. Would you please put down that telephone? We're under 50 feet of blue white snow.
God, that piano is gorgeous.
I waved to my neighbor waved to me.
Okay.
But my neighbor is my enemy.
That's intriguing.
I kept waving my arms till I could not see. Under 50 feet of pure white snow. Is there anybody here who feels this low? Under 50 feet of pure white snow. Raise your hands up into the sky. Raise your hands up into the sky. Raise your hands up to the sky. Is it any wonder? Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
Those harmonies are great. I love the dynamics, the tension building in this track.
Doctor, I'm going mad.
Oh, that was great.
This is the worst day I've ever had.
Yes, just that clipping.
I can't remember ever feeling this bad. Under 50 feet of blue white snow. Is there anybody who feels this low? Under 50 feet of blue white snow. Raise your hands up into the sky. Raise your hands up into the sky. Raise your hands up to the sky. Is it any wonder? Oh my Lord. Yeah, oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Save yourself.
Mm.
Save yourself. Help yourself. Oh my Lord. Save yourself. Save yourself. Save
Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh. God, that last bit with this like save yourself. It just sounds like the pleas of like peak helplessness. You know, this fevered pitched impotence or ineffectualness, and I mean, being underneath 15 feet of pure white snow also kind of lends to this idea of being up against something insurmountable, and this kind of isolated loneliness that I think is oftentimes associated with these images of being like snowed in or in the midst of a blizzard. And by the end of it, he's like pleading with his doctor about his state, which, you know, doesn't bode well for his current condition. I really did love, and I think I mentioned this as I was just spouting off reaction, like in the middle of the reaction, the use of dynamics in this, you know, the loud, quiet aspect of it all was really great in helping build tension and then feeling it kind of like explode or like come to fruition, or at least a good steady boil. I really, really enjoyed that feeling, and that they were able to make me feel that. Yeah, this was a really and another classic cave track, right? Where there's this interesting narrative that's not presented to you in such, black and white. Here's the laundry list of things kind of way where you have to instead you have to interpret, and there's metaphor there and these interesting allusions, particularly the way it started with all these named individuals. I thought was kind of interesting, and what is the importance there. Now, oftentimes with these tracks, I'll go back to John, and he will have done the research, and he'll know the backstory on it, and be able to help me kind of piece things together. There's no way anybody could just give it one listen and know every single detail or decision, or explanation for every decision made, especially from a lyrical standpoint in this one. I do get the feeling of like isolation and, maybe deteriorating mental health. But there's probably more to it, with interesting little tidbits and Easter eggs and explanations for why this was this way or that was that way. And John is always good for having that, because he does his homework. So let's hope he, continued course. And let's get back to him and learn some more about this. I had a lot of fun giving this a go.
Shepard Tenzing, Norgay that is. He's back. So you've had to listen to 15 Feet, Pure White Snow, by Nick Cave and Bad Seeds. What do you think of it?
A lot to think. You could probably copy and paste a lot of my sentiments towards previous Nick Cave and the Bad Seed songs into this one as well, though, which is probably no surprise to you, John. The video opens with this shudder and snap sound of several photos being taken of what looks to be some long abandoned government building in what I assume is some desolate part of the former USSR. It all has that kind of gray, lost in time aesthetic to it, which is really interesting. And right out of the gate, evocative. Go ahead.
Or a enrollment film from the TV series Lost. It would be just the same.
Yeah, I did spot a polar bear, but yeah, you're absolutely right. The track proper, however, begins with Nick questioning into the microphone, "Where's Mona?" Along with his bandmate responding, and I think all of them in tandem, I guess, responding, "She's long gone." Some low in the mix, kind of clipped bass then makes an appearance, along with a rim strike by the drummer before Cave continues his line of questioning. He then inquires as to the whereabouts of Mary, who appears to have been taken along by Mona, I would assume. There was this "she went with her" or "she's gone with her" sort of line that was, I didn't catch all of, but it sounded like she had gone the way of Mary. I believe I'm picking up on a little bit of clipped guitar as well, before Cave then notes they haven't put their mittens on and there's 15 feet of pure white snow. As I stated before, that is a lot. This introduces some lovely and gentle tinkling on the keys, the notes of which seem to fall like snowflakes, gently cascading over the soundscape. I thought that was really cool and interesting. The film then pans to what looks to be, it looks like, I don't know if this is how it was shot, but it looks like the shots of the band was meshed with older footage of dancing or people that had partied in a similar, if not the same location. It almost looked like the same place, but shot at two different points in time. It probably wasn't. They probably just made the film look a little older or whatever, but it just had this kind of like meshed together aesthetic to it. But either way, it was really interesting to watch folks dancing about as he ponders on the whereabouts of, I think it's Michael, Mark, Matthew, and either Joan or John. Forgive me, one of the two. And through the jazzy tones of the music appears the revelation that they're all back under 15 feet of pure white snow. Then the music ramps up a bit as he pleads for someone to put down the telephone because, again, they're under 15 feet of pure white snow. The beautiful key work then de-escalates the music as the drums fall back into that quieted, dark jazz motif. The next stanza illustrates this interesting interaction between the narrator and his neighbor, who, despite waving between the two of them, is also their enemy of one another, which is odd. And that waving is maintained until he could not see, likely a result of being under 15 feet pure white snow. The music again then ramps up and maintains this level of energy throughout the next stanza as Cave repeats, "Raise your hands up to the sky," and asks, "Is it any wonder?" before then repeating, "Oh my Lord," several times. And the "Oh my Lord" portion is complemented by the na 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 nas of his bandmates joining in. Again, this is all paired with some interesting footage of folks dancing in this disheveled boardroom turned ballroom of sorts they've got going on here. There's something interesting about, like, if this is in fact like the relics of the former USSR, and these people are sort of dancing about in a building who's not it's not going to be functioning as it has in the near future, I'm sure. There's this, to use the name of a John Mayer song, there's some slow dancing in a burning room going on here. There's some whistling through the graveyard, it would seem. They're all partying, though the end seems to be nigh, which is an interesting dynamic at play here as well when you think about it. So I thought that was really interesting. Cave opens in the next stanza, seemingly pleading to the doctor about the state of his sanity, whilst the one guitar injects this interesting little strumming motif for a moment, and it focuses on him while he does it, thank God. And it sounds great. And the drums kind of continue to move things along in that, again, dark jazz fashion. There are also some creepy, lightly metallic scratches on the guitar during this bit, which only underscores kind of the odd tension in the song. And lyrically, this portion continues to highlight the narrator's deteriorating mental health and sense of apathetic isolation. Whenever I think of a blizzard and heavy snowfall, isolation is one of the first kind of emotions or feelings that come with it, right? Because you're kind of stuck either by yourself or with whomever's in your house, and no other human interaction likely for a few days as you sort of, plow your way or shovel your way out from under. So the 15 feet reference and all the snow goes along with this feeling of isolation that they built musically and lyrically. Again, he pleads for us to raise your hands up to the sky, and more cries of "Oh my Lord" and those accompanying na 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 nas. He also cries out for us to save yourself and help yourself a few times as the song finally reached this peak moment of what feels like helplessness. It's like a fevered pitched impotence or ineffectualness. Someone at the end of their rope as the song itself comes to an end. I'm not sure the specific meaning or inspiration of the song after just one listen, but like most of the Nick Cave catalog that we've gone through, I'm left completely and utterly intrigued by the narrative, which is so expertly complemented by the accompanying music. I assume the 15 feet of pure white snow is a metaphor for whatever insurmountable feeling is overwhelming our narrator in this song. But please tell me a bit more, John. And before you do, this is again another example of Cave giving you enough to think about, but not giving you enough to know, which is a great way to ingest music, because it allows you to have a little bit of influence over the story as well. I've made this comparison before in the past, but there's a bit of ink blot nature to his music and his songwriting, where yes, you could certainly extrapolate from it. It's an indicator as to where he is and how he's writing or what headspace he's putting himself in to create this, but it also holds a mirror up to yourself and is an indicator of where you are as far as what emotional or mental headspace you're in when you listen to it. And that's a lovely talent and row that he toes. So I appreciate that very much in his songwriting. This is another classic example of it. Tell me more now, John.
So, as we've alluded to before, thank you for that, Andy. We have gone through a number of songs by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This will be added to the playlist, which I'll put a link in below the description of this episode. So you can go back and have a look. And in the first couple, I'll speak a bit more about the formation of the band, etc. But I'm doing a scattergun approach as opposed to other sort of deep dives into bands which were chronological. This is all over the fucking shop, which again makes it quite interesting.
It's the Andy style of presenting a band's oeuvre to the channel. Just
I'll concentrate just on this album and this track. Before I forget, there's some interesting stuff going on here, which I'll go into. There's lots of theories, some of them wildly different from others. I will say this though, the video I think's great. It's just really entertaining.
It's oddly, it's both entertaining and oddly unsettling too, because of that whole, if I'm right, you know the outcome, right? You know the shelf life of this atmosphere and party mentality. It's almost like the Roaring '20s. You know this shit's gonna come crumbling.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways of looking at it. It can be like, dancing on the deck of the Titanic, or it can also be dancing in a a shrine of something that's past, a past culture or civilization. But there's this otherworldly feel to it all, almost like they're doing the dance of the doomed. You do feel that all the participants in this aren't going to see out the month, for whatever reason, whether it's a death squad or whatever. And there's other wild theories about that as well. It just makes it and it's a feeling really, rather than any forensic evidence, but it just makes it all super interesting. So this is from the 2001 album, No More Shall We Part, the band's 11th studio release. The record, which was well received critically, came after a 4-year gap from the previous much acclaimed album, The Boatman's Call, and then after that they knocked out a subsequent best of album. So there's this nice break, and during that break, Nick Cave had to overcome his heavy heroin and alcohol addictions through the 99-2000 before starting work on this album. It also has featured guest appearances by Kate and Anna McGarrigle, which is a bit of a masterstroke. Their female voices as backing through certain songs really works well. As I say, it was all met with positive reviews. So the personnel at this point, because it's always a spin the wheel and see who's involved. There's a few, guys that have been there a long time, and so Nick Cave, vocals, piano. This is for the album. Mick Harvey, guitar, string arrangements. Blixer Bargelt, guitar. Conway Savage, organ. Warren Ellis, violin, string arrangements. Martin P. Casey, bass. Thomas Wadler, drums. And Jim Sklabanus, percussion. Guest musicians, Kate and Anna McGarrigle, vocals. And then we also had Gavin Wright, Patrick Kiernan, Jackie Shave, Simon Fisher, Rebecca Hirsch on violins. Bruce White and Gustav Clarkson, violas. Frank Schaefer, Arnold Handy, that's a great name, and Naomi Wright, cellos, and Paul Morgan and Leon Bosch on basses. Just as you know, the Metacritic site gave this album an aggregated score of 79. AllMusic said, if this album was about anything, it's about love's ability to survive in the world. It is examined concretely and abstractly, to the point where it meditates on this theme even cinematically. There is powerful emotion here, spiritual, psychological, and romantic, without a hint of this sentimentality that would make it false. As both a singer and a songwriter, Cave's work has been transformed into something so full of depth, colour, and dimension that there is simply no one except his mentors working on this level in popular music. Which is high praise. There's a lot of talk about actually him sort of tapping into his inner Leonard Cohen for this album, and you can see bits of it. It's a really good shout. 15 Feet of Pure White Snow was the second single from this album. So I'll go into a bit more about the song in a minute, but lyrics. So, as you say, it starts off with the snapshots. Where is Mona? She's long gone. That's Nick Cave and Blixer doing this, the guitarist. Where's Mary? She's taken her along. But they haven't put their mittens on, and there's 15 feet of pure white snow. Where is Michael? Where is Mark? Where is Matthew? Now it's getting dark. Where is John? They're all out back under 15 feet of pure white snow. Would you please put down that telephone? We're under 15 feet of pure white snow. I waved to my neighbor waved to me, but my neighbor is my enemy. I kept waving my arms till I could not see under 15 feet of pure white snow. Is there anybody here who feels this low under 15 feet of pure white snow? Raise your hand up to the sky, raise your hand up to the sky, raise your hand up to the sky. Is it any wonder? And then, as you say, we go into line dancing. Oh my Lord, na, 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 na. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Doctor, doctor, I'm going mad. This is the worst day I've ever had. I can't remember ever feeling this bad under 15 feet of pure white snow. Raise your hand up to the sky, raise your hand up to the sky, raise your hand up to the sky. Is it any wonder? Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Save yourself, save yourself, help yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Save yourself, help yourself, help yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, the video version, which I presume is a single version, has cut out a couple of verses. We had this in another Nick Cave one from the album version. So I'll just give you the other two album versions, which come in the middle of it. Is there anybody out there? Sorry, is there anybody out there, please? It's too quiet in here and I'm beginning to freeze. I've got icicles hanging from my knees under 15 feet of pure white snow. Where's my nurse? I need some healing. I've been paralyzed by this lack of feeling. I can't even find anything worth stealing under 15 feet of pure white snow. There's a bit in that which may be important in terms of meaning or may not. So the music video itself featured the band playing live in the former building of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Kazakhstan.
There you go. Okay.
What a place to go for your summer holidays. With people dancing around, some of which were famous. You may have seen someone doing this sort of action. That was Jarvis Cocker, lead singer of Pulp. Oh. There's also the singer and actor, formerly of Neighbours, Jason Donovan, and also the actor Noah Taylor, who was in fucking loads of stuff, and it will come to me in a sec. But anyway, and several others as well. There's a list of them at the end of it, but they're the three that are most prominent, and the band as well, dancing. So the hanging picture that you see is of the former Soviet Premier Konstantin Chernenko. He was the last of the old guard of the communist regime before Gorbachev took office. There are many, many theories about the meaning of this song. Most of them to do with cocaine addiction, of which, of course, Mr. Cave is one of the few jokes he didn't really partake of.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you brought up heroin in the beginning, I'm like, that's polar opposite.
One of my favorite theories is that it's about the airplane crash survivors in the Andes eating each other.
Alive.
But anyway, yes, exactly. I believe it does touch on, and clearly, as you picked up as well, it touches on themes of isolation, despair, depression, existential angst, obviously, as always, and a feeling of a loss of control. Yeah, I mean, one of the things you talk about with the blizzard hits is that isolation, but it also dampens everything down to a monochrome vision. It's just black and white, really. All the colours, taken out of it because of the snow, which is, again, it's really interesting. Yeah. So I had the thought that rather than it being about the influence of drugs, i.e. all that cocaine, it may be actually about Kane's withdrawal and this feeling of being under this sort of cloud and his struggle through it. Interesting. So the verses there about, I'm beginning to freeze, got icicles hanging from my knees. You know, this, I think it's withdrawal symptoms from heroin. Where's my nurse? I need some healing. I'm paralyzed, lack of feeling. Can't find anything worth stealing. Again, that's like suggesting a sort of junkies approach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's other things going on in this as well, not just that.
To be fair though, when you read those two verses that weren't in this version, and you
Yeah.
had introduced your synopsis here with a allusion to his heroin addiction, it's not. I could almost correlate that without the two extra verses, but the two extra verses only further underscore this idea
Yeah.
of like helplessness, apathy, feeling kind of like lower than whale shit. You know, when you feel that low, you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing here even worth stealing. You're kind of like at the, you know, you've diminished to a state where a nurse needs to assist you and all this stuff. It just screams you're struggling. And I'm sure isolationism, which yes is obviously a something that you would endure during a blizzard when you're all shut in, but also how that could be a metaphor for how you feel when you're going through the throes of addiction recovery and things like that. So I can see that
Yeah,
easily connecting.
exactly. And it's interesting. It's more about the coming off of the drugs than the sort of like, well, how we're suffering because I'm a, heroin's got a grip on me, etc. There's other things as well going on, as I said, though. So these are some of the suggestions through the song I just highlight. So it starts off with, where is Mona? She's long gone. Where is Mary? There have been people have noted this sort of trying to compare Mona Lisa with Virgin Mary. There's all this biblical imagery crops up in cave stuff a lot, which is really interesting and how they're put together. Um, and there goes, where's Michael, Mark, Matthew, and John? I mean, you swap out Michael for Luke, and you've got the Gospels there. One person, though, did say that this is clearly about drug addiction because Mona, Mary, Michael, Mark, Matthew, and John are a list of people that Nick Cave knew who died through drug overdoses. I don't know where they got that from. That's absolute
Yeah.
horseshit, but it's
I was
really
gonna say, is that
interesting.
even true, or is that just someone throwing shit
No,
at the wall?
and it's interesting when I say, where is John? And the next line is, they're all out back under 15 feet. So that does suggest that there is some sort of like death of whatever, but that may be death of faith or of, etc. And that's symbolized by Michael, Mark, Matthew, and John. It's just really interesting. I waved to my neighbor waved to me. That, for me, rings really distant bells, but I can't put a finger on it, so I can't help you there. But it does feel like it's referring to something outside of the his writings, but I couldn't tell you what it is. But it's bugging me. But it's definitely something familiar. Um, but yeah, and this like Doctor, I'm going mad. It's the worst day I've ever had. Again, feels like reference to another song, but I can't put a finger on it. So there's lots of things going on in there. It just makes it really super interesting. And then it's a great song as well. It's a great tune.
Yeah,
And
clearly.
delivered well. So it all makes it another interesting one to add to the catalogue of Nick Cave and the Bad Seed songs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, when are they going to make this a one season novella TV series? You know, it's just got that kind of writing to it.
So there's a entrance by one of the contributors on the lyric websites that pop in their shit. And this is quite interesting what they put. They put, apparently there's a anti-theistic meaning to this as well. The phrase "pure white snow" is a reference to the biblical verse, "Come now and let us reason together. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow." And they say, the contributor, basically, the song is about how bound and imprisoned one feels under the weight of imposed ethical standards. By having this ambiguous meaning, the song clearly makes an analogy between religion and communism, or rather, communistic regime, which I think is brilliant, even if we disregard how great the music is itself. While I'd admit that snow is slang for cocaine, as are about 100 other different words, this is
Yeah.
where any possible relation to the topic ends. If for nothing else, then the fact that cocaine is one drug that doesn't make you depressed or alienated, or at least that's just me and 6 other people I know. So there you go. That's what they said. So yeah, again, really interesting stuff. I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you, Joe.
Folks out there, tell us what you think. Please do hit the like button if you like this, and drop some comments on what you think of this song, maybe this album as well. There's other tracks I could have picked, but I love the video as well to this. And there's the chance to see Jason Donovan dancing around smashed out of his face, and you just can't pass it up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and hop on board. We really appreciate everybody who does support this channel. That being said, thanks so much for watching. And we'll see all of you in the next episode of The Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.